Welcome to this introduction to Manage and Lead. We are at the Danish School of Media and Journalism at the Bachelor's Program of Media Production and Management, and this is spring 2021. This would be an introduction to the course overall. What is to be expected? What do you have to work with? What is the literature and so on? And then I will use most of the time talking about the case assignment, which is also the exam assignment. You have to hand in a team report, group report later on. So what are the requirements and what are my expectations? I am Michael Abildgaard, Associate Professor at the Danish School of Media and Journalism. I hold a Master in Management of Technology. This is an executive MBA. I have also published 5 research papers and 3 books in the field of applied color science and print production. You can read more about me and my work at the ResearchGate profile and the LinkedIn profile if you want to know more. In this year's class, the class of 2021, we are 51 students, 41 Danish students, 10 international students, 15 men and 36 women. We have 7 nationalities, 7 cultures, you might say. However, some of you might hold a dual culture. And if you do that, you can bring it into the assignment as well, because it will give you an extra dimension on the case assignment. So there's something to discuss when we discuss cross-cultural business behavior, for instance. So altogether we are 51 students and 1 teacher who all have English as a foreign language. And the nationalities in the class is Belgian, Danish, Norwegian, Swedish, Spanish, Romanian and Russian. So the goal and purpose of this course is that you as a student should obtain a qualified overview and understanding of the relevant management system that exists in the globalized world. Of course, we have to limit that to what is relevant to this course topics. This way, you as a student become able to analyze and consider the possible use of these management systems in a given organization, including implementation and daily compliance to these management systems. So the learning outcome will be that you learn to see the business cultural differences in cross-cultural business behavior. And that means that when you later on in your work have to communicate or make business with other countries, with people in other cultures, you should know what kind of issues that could make a risk in your negotiations there. Then you will get an introduction to the concept of leadership versus management, and in that area you will also perform some self-evaluation tests to analyze what kind of management style and leadership styles you possess. In addition to that, you will have to choose an optional topic later on that you have to work with for 4 weeks. And there are 4 tracks that you can choose from. You can either choose sustainability, and if you do that, you will work with the United Nations 17 Sustainable Development Goals and also the United Nations Global Compact. Besides that, you will have to look into what kind of environmental management system is relevant in this area, and maybe also some eco-label schemes that you can work with. If you choose track 2, this is about event management, and you will find an organization that conduct events or participate in different events, and then you can evaluate and analyze what kind of event type it is, how it is structured as a project, and what to be aware of when we are conducting some kind of event. Track 3 will be about continuous improvement, and this is mainly about lean management, Lean Six Sigma, and quality management. And the 4th optional topic is innovation management. Here you will look into how your organization is handling product development, innovating new features and services, products, and so on. And in connection to that, you also have to look into the area of change management, because when you make an innovation, you also make a change. Some people will have to do things differently and work in another way that they are used to. So this requires change management. The schedule for this course, as you can see on your right side here, we have 6 weeks of work. And this is altogether in total 275 hours of total workload for you as a student. This is distributed into these 6 weeks. And as you can see, most of these days are marked with an orange color, meaning that here you have to work by yourself with your team, from distance. This is a distant learning course, or e-learning course, you might say. The first day, on Monday 15, we meet at 10 o'clock, and then I give you an introduction to the course. This is in fact this video presentation. And after that, you will have to work with the Belbin team roles, that you have to identify what kind of Belbin team roles do you have in your team. And then we go on for the rest of the week, where you analyze yourself as an individual. What kind of cultural business behavior do you possess as a person, or as your national, the typical national profile of business behavior? And then you bring that into your team, and you discuss what are the cultural differences within our team, and how can we manage those differences if there are any issues, for instance. And on Friday, you present your work to the rest of the class and for me, and you will get a feedback for that. The second week, we go into, first of all, we discuss organization. How can we analyze an organization and describe it? And of course, you have to choose an organization that your team will work with for the rest of the course. And then we go into the topic of management versus leadership. And in this area, you will also make an individual evaluation about your own management and leadership styles. What are your preferred management and leadership styles? And then you bring that into the team, and you make a description of the people in the team. How are we as a team? What kind of leadership styles do we possess in our team? And on Friday, you present that for the rest of the class again, and you will get some feedback here. So the first 2 weeks are mandatory for all students. After that, you will choose a specific topic that you work with, as I talked about earlier on, and then you will work independent with your team for these topics. Along the way, all the yellow areas, we will be together face-to-face, virtually anyway, through Microsoft Teams, and there will be optional Q&A where you can ask questions and you can get feedback on your current issues. So we will almost see each other every day in this course, even though we are apart, but we will do that through Microsoft Teams meetings. This schedule that I just talked about, the structure for is applied to its learning system that you are used to working with right now. So the idea is that one day has one plan. This is a plan. Here we have the introduction, the first day, Monday 15 from 10 to 12. And we have a description of the subject. And here I have placed a link to the first meeting. And over here I will place all the relevant resources, video presentation, PDF files, and so on. As I have done in the overall general information up here, we have the course description, the schedule, and the case assignment. So In all the other course days, there will also be other resources here. So the first 2 weeks are mandatory subjects, as I talked about. We talk about the built-in team roles. We make individual analysis of the team in cross-cultural business behavior, and you choose an organization which you begin to analyze. And we talk about leadership versus management, and you make your individual leadership analysis and the team analysis. And then you will see the introductions to the electives, and then you might begin to choose your electives already here in week 2. The literature that you have to buy is this cross-cultural business behavior from Gesteland. You can see more about this, and you can find a link in the course description. But this is the main literature for this course, in fact. The first week, you have an assignment in 2 parts, and this is about the cultures. So, assignment 1 is cross-cultural business behavior, where you make an individual evaluation. How do I behave as a person when I possess some leadership tasks? The idea is that you have to write 1 paper about your national business culture in relation to you as an individual. Are you like the majority of your compatriots? I mean, can you recognize yourself in the description from the book when they talk about a typical Russian business behavior? Can you recognize yourself in this description or not? So here you have the opportunity to write how you might differ from the overall cultural descriptions. Are there any particular areas where you are not as described? So you can come into that. What are the main differences between the Danish business culture and the other cultures in the classroom? As I said earlier on, we are at least 7 different cultures. So you have to discuss what are the differences between these 7 cultures. And if one of you have a dual culture, or many of you have a dual culture, you can also bring these cultures into these discussions. So you have to reflect and discuss and write about your personal culture versus other cultures in the class. This page that you have to write shall later be placed in the exam report as Appendix 1.1. And the second part of this cultural analysis is where you bring your own individual page into your team, and then you discuss how do our team looks like. Now you have maybe 4 different individual analyses. How do that make us as a team? How do we behave in a business negotiation, for instance? Compare and discuss your individual result from the previous assignment. Fill in the form. This will be available in its learning with the characteristics of your culture. Compare and discuss the result of the completed form. Describe the challenges that may arise in your team and how you might solve any issues. Discuss any possible cultural differences among your team and the other teams in the class. I think we have a few teams in this class that is only holding Danish students, but they also have to discuss what can we expect if we work together with the other teams who have other cultures. So then you also write 1 or 2 pages about your team's overall cross-cultural business behavior. And these pages should later be placed in the team report as Appendix 1.2. The second week is also a mandatory subject. And here we also have an assignment in 2 parts. The first one is the individual evaluation, and the second one is a team evaluation, as the week before. So here it is all about how you as a person is as a leader or manager. And we use this Cambridge University. They have published a PDF file here, Global Definitions of Leadership and Theories of Leadership Development. This is a literature review from University of Cambridge Institute for Sustainability Leadership. So in this, there are many descriptions of different leadership management models, and you have to look into all these and see which one do you prefer as a person, which one is most suitable for you. So evaluate yourself according to McGregor, Adizes, Blanchard. You also have to look into my PowerPoint presentation about this. And then you have a questionnaire that you have to fill in and plot your profile. So this is your individual evaluation. And when you have done that, you bring it into the team and you discuss your own leadership styles and the other team members' leadership styles, and then you make an overall conclusion. Are we managers or leaders and leaders? So you discuss how are we as a team with these individual profiles that you have just analyzed. And again, this work that you have done, it has to be placed in the group report later on as Appendix 2.1 and 2.2. The second week, you also have to begin to look into organization, because the idea is that along with this work that I have just described, you have to choose an organization that you have to work on. This organization should be your case organization, that you have to analyze all the rest of the work according to this organization. So you choose an organization that you have to, well, I might as well read what it says here. This is for your group report, chapter 2. When the team has chosen an organization, it will serve as the basis for the rest of this course. Thus, when selecting an organization, it is important that you will be able to contact this organization somehow, because there will be some questions that you have to answer, and you can only answer these questions if you contact this organization to find out how they work and what is specific about this organization. So the organization could be your current spare time job, an organization that you have previously worked in, your future internship company, or an organization that you have some relation to. For instance, it could be one from your family who work in this organization and so on. So you have to choose an organization. And then you make an overall analysis of this organization. This is just basic facts. In fact, what kind of organization is it? Where is it placed? What kind of company type is it? Is it a private, public, and so on? And what are the number of employees, departments, and location? What business are they in? What industry are they in? What are the main products or services that they provide? What are their value propositions, in fact? And what are their strategy? What are this organization's mission, their basis for existence, in fact? And how do they produce what they produce? And this goes even if it is a service. How do they do what they do? You have to try to figure that out. Is it a local company, or international or global company? And what kind of organization is it according to Mintzberg? All Danish students should now know what Henry Mintzberg talk about when he talk about organizational analysis. But if you are an international student who have never heard about Mintzberg, there will be a PDF file that you can read and use for this analysis. So this is in fact something that you have to do and describe in chapter 2 in your exam report. And now we move on to the optional tracks. There will be separate video presentation for each of these tracks that you can look into later on. But if you choose track 1 about sustainability, I have talked about it earlier, then you have to look into United Nations different schemes they have here, environmental management systems, eco-label systems. How can we as a company, as an organization, work with this subject? And then we have this event management. If you choose this track, you can analyze an event as a project. There will be some specific literature on that you will have to lend, borrow, or buy. And then we have the continuous improvement track. And this you might choose if your organization need to cut down on expenses and resources. How can we work smarter? How can we make more with less resources, for instance? And then we have the track of innovation management. And in this topic, you also have to look into change management. If you choose this topic, you also have to use the book 10 Types of Innovation by Keeley. And you can buy it, borrow, or lend it somewhere. So this is what is the basis of this track. But as I said, I have made different video presentation for each of these tracks. So the idea is the first 2 weeks we are working together with mandatory subjects, and then you choose the optional track that you work with for the rest of the course, and you tie it all together in the final exam report that you hand in. So this is an overall overview of how your exam report will be. In the first 2 weeks, you have made some individual analysis of your cultural business behavior and your leadership style, and you have also made analysis of your team's cultural business behavior and your team's leadership styles. These are placed in the appendix 1, and so on. In the first chapter, you have to make a very ultra short summary of these appendices here. And you also have to present your team. What are the names of your team members? What kind of background do you come from? And what country do you come from? And university, educational program that you usually is following. And then, of course, this ultra short summary of these appendices here. In chapter 2, you have the organizational analysis that I have just introduced you to. And then in chapter 3, you describe the specialization topic that you have chosen, 1 to 4. One of them in relation to your organization that you have chosen. So you have to make a clear and precise diagnosis of the problem, the challenge, the opportunity identified for the organization in relation to the chosen subject. Why is this subject relevant to this organization? For instance, sustainability. And then you make reflection and answer the questions that appear in the chosen assignment. You can download the overall assignment, and there will be some additional questions that you have to discuss there. And then you analyze how the chosen topic can be used in this organization. So why is it relevant for the organization, and how can it be used by this organization? And then chapter 4 is summarizing and conclusion. Here you make a clear presentation of suggested solution and first steps of action in relation to further development or implementation of this solution that you have suggested. So this should be the final exam report that you submit by deadline, and it is between 19 and 26 pages approximately, depending on on how many team members you are, because you, for instance, here you have to make 1 page per team member, as you can see. So there will be some different pages depending on the team. So this is the idea with Manage and Lead, the course of Manage and Lead.